All right, everybody. So I believe we're live now. So let's get this party started. Here we are at the onX Offroad. This is the Build Challenge live webinar. We've put this together for a couple of reasons. Number one, check in with you guys on your builds, see how they're going. And then we're going to let anybody who is watching, there's two things that they need to sort of pay attention to. Number one, you can ask questions, just throw them up in the webinar chat, and we'll get to them at the end of the video. And also we've got onX has got 10 water bottles to give away during this webinar. So if you drop a question, they're going to randomly pick a bunch of people to give some water bottles away with. So I have my notes right here to get started. So we're going to start with the first one. We're just going to check in on everyone. How is your build going? So let's start right away with the BleepinJeep crew out there with your overalls and sitting in the sunny South Dakota weather. So Matt, Colt, how's the build going?
Fantastic. We're still buttoning stuff up. Still haven't driven the truck more than 10 feet, but we're working on it. We should have it mobile, roadworthy, hopefully by tonight, first thing in the morning.
And for those people who are watching or jumped in from home, you don't know this, but the road trip competition starts in a week. So they have one more week to meet us in Moab, Utah for the road trip competition. So Rudy, now Hollie's not with you anymore, but she's joined us to say hi to Hollie with her sore back. But how's the build? How are you looking? When are you leaving? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, okay, so obviously super unfortunate with Hollie's accident. It put us behind schedule a little bit, but for the sake of our competition, we're ready to go. It's all done. But for you guys watching, it's got a long ways to go still. Like a long ways to go.
And when do you leave for the start of this little adventure that we're going on?
Yeah, so we are actually leaving on Thursday morning to head up to Wyoming for the weekend for Janelle's family. And then we'll meet you in Moab. So our trip starts a little sooner.
So you've given yourself a little extra deadline. So you're going to do a 500-mile road test of your vehicle.
Yep, that's right.
Excellent. All right. Well, all the bugs will be shaking. All right, Nate, Dave, how's the dumpster fire looking?
Nate, tell them how it is.
It works. I mean, there's some issues that I will disclose when we get to the hot weather where we're meeting, but I have remedied those with a head gasket and a can, so that's good. Other than that, the thing runs and drives. I was doing 80 in it yesterday and camped in it the night before and was up rock crawling at a place we call the Little Rubicon up here in Washington, over in Natchez, and there's still a lot that has to be done this week, but I wanted to at least confirm that it works. So now I can start to like build a rear bumper and like just finish the thing off. So, but we're looking good right now.
Okay, so let's start right from the top. Nate, when are you leaving to meet us in Moab? When's your planned departure date?
Either Thursday or Friday, depends on how much I get done before that.
Okay, all right, that sounds good. All right, so for those of you watching at home don't know this is a build challenge where these guys are all competing for a chance to win the onX Offroad slot on this year's Ultimate Adventure. So I thought one of the things that we could do to sort of kick things off is just review some of the rules to make sure that you guys aren't forgetting anything. So I have the official UA rule list in front of me. And so we're going to go through them and you guys are just going to give me a thumbs up if it's in the truck and or done. So vehicle must be roadworthy and capable of sustained highway speeds of 60 miles an hour or at least, with a fuel capacity to provide a range of at least 150 miles. Everyone good on that? Okay, so I got a maybe from BleepinJeep, honestly, because you don't know, do you? That's the real reason.
It'll be good by tonight, but yeah.
Okay. Vehicle must be. Yes, Dave.
Insider information. Trent does 74.
Trent
everywhere.
knows a lot.
Yeah.
Yes, Trent. I've noticed from my experience with Ultimate Adventure, being on it a few times, when everybody in that leading group all of a sudden got vehicles powered by Cummins R2.8s.
Yeah.
The distance traveling and the highway speed went way up for those guys. They were, when Trent was driving that lumpy old YJ, we were maybe doing 55. But then when we were in Montana, I swear to God, he was doing 90 a couple times.
Yeah. We were hauling the mail.
Yeah, but for our trip in July, just so you know, or next week, you only have to do 60 miles an hour, a range of 150 miles. Street licensed and insured. Everybody good with that? We'll say yes, maybe. Okay, we're good on that. Yep. It's like Tennessee. Those are guidelines. You're okay. Front and rear lockers. We're all good. All right. Self-sufficient. You've got spare parts, fluid, tools, food, water, all that kind of stuff. All right. Front mounted vehicle recovery winch and winch controller.
I think we're good.
Winch accessory kit, tree saver, snatch block, clevis, chains, gloves, all that kind of jazz. All right, just know you have to have that. Roll cage, roll bar. Okay, good. First aid kit, we're gonna assume you guys have that. Seat belts for all occupants. Yeah, I'm gonna assume you guys have that. Recovery tow hooks, front and rear. Battery hold down. 35-inch minimum tire size, which I know you all have. Functioning parking brake. We'll give like a, yeah, I know we have that.
Ours works.
VHF communication system. You are gonna have to have some sort of radio communication system in the vehicle. Fire extinguisher mounted in reach of occupants. Snatch strap recovery hook. Adequate jack and jack points. And a spill kit. That's what you're gonna have to go on UA. So that's what you're gonna have to have when we show up next Monday in Moab. So you have to have those things. So just remember, when we all meet on Monday, you're going to go through an actual UA tech inspection. So you have to have all those items or you will be penalized in the competition. So that's going to bring us to our next point of contention, which is budget. Who's over on their budget and knows it?
Probably.
Yeah, I know you are, Rudy. I've
That's
watched
up
your
for
videos.
debate.
I know you're over budget.
I'm
Don't
gonna
lie.
fight for this one.
Okay, so the one thing that came up during everyone's YouTube video was questions about the budget. So let's start by asking a question. So I'm going to start. So Nate, is $15,000 a legitimate budget to build an off-road vehicle?
There's two answers to that. Yes, if you plan on trailering your rock crawler to the trail, 15 grand's plenty to do that. Whenever you need it to do highway speeds and be like streetable and reliable, 15 grand goes away really, really fast.
Matt, Colt, what's your thought on the $15,000 budget? Is that reasonable budget, or do you think it might be a little low?
For a UA rig, I'd say you're pushing it at 15. I mean, you're right there at it at 15 I agree with Nate. I mean, it's to go highway speeds, but yet still be capable of legitimate hardcore rock crawling. That adds a whole nother level of cost compared to just having a rock crawler that you put on a trailer.
It depends on the trails you want to do as well. We did that Cheap Jeep challenge with Busted Knuckle a couple years ago, and that was a $5,000 rig. Of course, I wouldn't have driven it across the country, but we did Pritchett Canyon in it just fine, and it did great.
We did put hundreds of miles on it in Oregon, I guess.
We did
but
take it to Oregon and drive all over Oregon with it.
It wasn't comfortable, and it didn't ride real great.
It was a hoopty. You wouldn't want to take it on the UA probably.
And it overheated a few times, and it didn't have 37s. 37 minimums, one of the UA requirements.
What did it
Yeah.
have?
35.
It's actually 35s. Yeah. Rudy, what do you think? 15,000, was that a legitimate budget, or did it go away too fast?
I mean, I agree with kind of what Matt and Colt said, and Nate for that matter, just in the fact that if it has to be streetable, like things get pricier, like balanced drive shafts cost more than just home built slider or home built drive shafts and stuff like that. So, and you got to have good wheels and tires. You can't have them out of balance. So buying used is sometimes sketchy in that regard, just because they're trickier to balance. But yeah, for the average person who wants to build a super reliable rock crawler for the highway, 15K goes fast.
Dave, you've built a lot of UA rigs, and well, we both have. 15
Yeah.
grand, legitimate budget or a stretch?
It's legitimate. I had, I think my little yellow Hilux that I took in 2012 and in 16, I legitimately had about 11 grand in that truck. So it did have some used parts in it, but it had good tires. It had all the right stuff. It did the trip twice. And, I think over the time I owned that truck, I probably put 6,000 or 7,000 miles on it.
We should point out that 11 grand then is like 15 grand now.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
also true.
I mean,
I think
Yeah.
there's another thing to talk about though, is if you have time, you can accumulate parts over time a lot cheaper than if you're on a 3-month stretch where you have to build this thing right away.
Well, and
My-
also one thing we should also talk about is, like, we talked about this and we decided from the very beginning that you couldn't just grab something out of the corner of your shop and call it free. You had to account for all those parts. So
Yeah.
to what Matt's saying, that like you can build a vehicle cheap, but it also, it's a lot easier to build it cheap if you have stuff laying around, which most of us do. That's the truth. If you build enough off-road rigs, you could build an off-road rig out of your parts pile behind your shop.
totally.
Yeah. So that's going to lead us into the first little how we're going to play this game for you guys. This is the first thing I'm going to share with you when it comes time for your actual budget review in Moab. So this is how it's going to happen. You were all given $15,000 to build your vehicles, with including the price of buying the vehicle. So you're going to arrive to Moab with a list of all the parts that you've put on the vehicle. It doesn't have to be fancy typed up. I'd prefer that, but it's okay. If it's just handwritten, that's how it's going to work. What we're going to do is we're going to have each competitor is going to evaluate the other person's list and the vehicle. So as an example, Nate, Dave, Colt, and Matt will take Rudy's list, and they will then look over Rudy's truck and they will say, yep, I see this part on the truck. I agree with that number. And you're going to go through the whole vehicle. And then we're going to do the same thing for everyone's vehicle. So it's going to be a peer budget review is what's going to happen. Any questions? We'll have an expert to make the decision for you. And you will then be assigned a true budget number on your vehicle on that first day. You will be penalized for going over your budget, and you will be penalized in the following way. For the first, let's see, where are we going here? If you go over budget by up to $2,000, you're going to be penalized 5 votes for every $10 over. If you go over between 2,000 and 5,000, you're going to be penalized 10 votes for every $10 over. If you go over your budget 5,000 to 10,000, you're going to be penalized 20 votes for every $10 over. And if you go $10,000 over budget, you will be penalized 50 votes for every $10 that you go over. So as an example, if you were to go over budget $2,500, you're going to be penalized for the first $2,000, you'll be penalized 1,000 votes. For the next $500 that you've gone over budget, you will be penalized 500 votes. So you could lose 1,500 votes against your total vote count for going $2,500 over budget. Also, to go along with that, if you come in under budget, we're going to go the opposite way. So if you came in at $2,500 under the $15,000, you will pick up 15,000 or 1,500 additional votes on the final count. Any questions, comments, concerns about this?
No.
I think
Good.
it's really fair. I think it's a good idea.
Also, you will not know the totals until the voting is closed. So this is step one as to how your totals will be adjusted. We, as the production company, will hold the values that the other teams give your vehicles, and then we will not tell you how many votes. That way you can't be out there like making up votes that you know you're going to lose. So we'll hold all this to us. We're not going to tell you anything until the voting is closed at the end of the event.
When
So
does
that's how
the
that's
voting
going to work.
close?
So that is how budget is going to be addressed. That was honestly the #1 question on every YouTube video was, where in the world did they find tires for $500? Because there was a lot of questions about that. So this is how we're addressing all of that. And the Walter Fowlers, but everyone, they're going to be at $14,999. I highly doubt that. So there we go. All right. Any questions about budget and voting and charges and all that kind of stuff? Yes, Matt.
When does the voting end? That's the number one question I've been getting.
Yeah, onX will make that call. They did send me. It's going to end right at when the final video airs. A week after that, voting will close.
Okay.
So it's going to be August something. I have to go back and look at our release schedule, but it's going to be, we're going to let these videos that we're shooting next week play on YouTube, and then we'll be closing the voting after that.
Okay.
Any more questions?
Nope.
Okay, so now the other way that you can earn votes. Okay, so while we are on this trip next week, we're not just going on a road trip. There are going to be challenges for you to compete in. There's going to be a drivetrain challenge, a camp challenge, a suspension challenge, a tire repair / change challenge, and then a final challenge. For these challenges, first place for each challenge receives 1,000 additional votes. Second place for each challenge receives 300 additional votes. And third place receives 300 additional votes. So you have a chance to pick up 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 4,000 votes just on the challenges alone in this game. Now, the final challenge. Who's a fan of Jeopardy? Who's ever watched Jeopardy? If I say daily double, do you know what that means?
Yep.
The final challenge will be a daily double where you can gamble up to 5,000 of your votes against the final challenge. So you have you could win up to 10,000 votes in this game next week. So this is still anyone's competition.
Dangerous.
Any questions?
No, it'll get more confusing as we get into it, I'm sure.
Oh, it will absolutely get super confusing. So that is all I have on my my point. So you guys need to know. That's all you need to know from me. Before I jump into the questions that we have in here. One other thing we should cover, just so everyone at home knows, we did talk about this. In their budget of $15,000, we did agree in the beginning that any mandatory item that was required by Ultimate Adventure would not count against their budget. So when they're factoring in their budgets, and the easiest example is, it says that you have to have a front mounted vehicle recovery winch. So nobody's being charged a winch in their finished budget. So that will all be pulled out of the budget. Same with the lockers. The area where it gets sticky is the 35-inch minimum tire size. And we have a plan for that we will, I can share with you right now. If you've put on 40-inch tall tires, we are going to assign a value of your tires, how much a set of 35s are versus how much a set of 40s are. And the difference will be applied against your budget.
That helps me so much. That is
I'm sure it
great.
does. So
Man,
that's what we'll do. We'll be looking at the retail price of a set of tires that you have compared to the two sizes, depending on what you got. And it'll be the difference that you will be charged. So you won't be charged for a full set of, Nate's got his, whatever they are, 39 KM3s, whatever they are. He won't be charged for a set of 39 KM3s. We'll take the difference between 35s versus 39s. That's what will go against his budget.
Have you guys hired an accountant to add all this up?
We spent a lot of time trying to figure this all out, trying to make it as fair as possible, and also make it so it's not just a popularity contest. We want to make sure that this actual build of the vehicle and the event challenges will have a significant value to you guys. So you want to be there and compete. That was the whole point.
I have a quick question.
Yes, sir.
I've been thinking about this last weekend because I was
Yep.
installing an air compressor. So UA says you need front and rear lockers. If you need air to drive that compressor, or sorry, if you need a compressor to then drive air to the lockers, is that compressor taken out of your budget?
I believe that's up to me and Bleepin.
I think
That's
we
true.
would.
That's a good
I think
answer.
honestly, so here's the question. This may come into play with something that Colt called and asked me about. Is the compressor from an elite partner?
I don't. They're adding so many elite partners. I don't know now. It's from ARB if they're an elite partner.
So that might be it, because it might slide underneath under. I think that's going to be a decision that we make. I think it's Rudy and Bleepin. I agree. That'll be a decision that Rudy and Bleepin and our expert make that final call. But I would argue that I could see it both ways. I could see it both ways.
I mean, hey, Dave, I mean, you've been on UA a billion times. Is the ability to air up your tires, is that a UA requirement?
No,
It's not a requirement, but it's highly recommended since we are doing so many highway miles. So I kind of
Okay.
feel like everybody on UA has a compressor or a power tank or some way to air up their tires. So I don't know.
But not an actual requirement, so I can't
it's
weasel
not
out of
in
the
the
cost
rules.
that way.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's not in
Okay.
the rules. So
10-4.
that might be a we'll decide in Moab next week type of thing. Okay, so anybody else have any questions before I jump into our viewer questions over here? Okay, somebody wants to know, does anyone have functioning AC, because that should be a bonus points? Rudy, you got functioning air conditioning?
I sure do.
Oh, good for you. That's playing
Listen,
ahead.
if I'm
I
gonna
thought
drive
it would only be Nate that would have
miles-
functioning AC.
If I'm gonna drive 500 miles in the hottest month of the year, I gotta have some cooling.
Ian, one of the rules on UA, maybe not in the rule book, but it's always been if you have AC, you're welcome to use it. You just can't have the windows rolled up.
No. Remember, Christian changed that last year
Did
because
he?
it was the first time Vern and him ever were driving in a truck with actually had functioning AC
That's
and
right.
windows. Don't
That's
you remember?
right.
He made that big speech that one morning,
Yeah.
and I called him out on it because I said it's convenient that you made that decision the first year that you guys are driving in a truck with functioning AC and windows.
Yeah, true that.
So let's see here. So who has functioning AC? So Rudy, Nate, you don't have functioning AC?
I pulled all that out. I pulled so much out to lighten it. And
Yep.
AC was on that list.
Okay. Let's see here. I'm just scrolling through these. Anything? Oh, Matt, you should have done the hair impersonation because somebody said you would have got bonus points for having hair.
I don't mind doing that. It's the mustache that I don't like cutting off. That takes a while to grow back.
Someone wants to know if anyone's going to sell their build at the end for $15,000.
Haha. No way.
We're forgetting labor.
Oh yeah, you got to add in the labor. Good call.
That's why I was so excited to do this challenge, because labor wasn't included in the cost, and I can spend as long as I want to make things how I want them. So, except I've run out of time now, so that was for nothing.
As much time as you want.
That's how Ultimate Adventure always works, right, Dave? Aren't you showing up a day late and half done? That's normally how you and I roll.
That is true. I'll probably be doing it again this year.
Here's a great question. Each of you. So if you go on UA or not, what is your plan for the vehicle after this competition? So let's start with Rudy. Rudy, what's your plan with this truck after this competition?
Well, immediately I want to redo some of the things. But then this Christmas, we have plans down in the Keys, and we're going to road trip it all the way across the country, hitting various trails along the way.
If you're in Tennessee, make sure to stop by. Me and Matt will hook you up, right, Matt?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll go wheel Windrock. Take that.
No, you're always in Windrock. Take them to AOP or Hawk Pride or somewhere different. Let's go somewhere different.
That roof rack will be gone in an instant.
Yeah, well, and those windows.
We'll see if they last that long.
Colt, Matt, what's your plans for the rig after this adventure?
Yeah, just to use it. I think I'm gonna there's a lot of things that I'll still change. There's a lot of things that we're just trying to get done in time to get it done. But when everything's said and done, yeah, use it, camp in it, have a cool Rocklander truck.
Nate, Dave, I guess I should ask Nate. It's his rig, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Dave will be involved anytime he wants to be. We're not too far. My immediate plans are I've got a Rubicon / Fordyce trip coming up that I'm going to do in the Land Cruiser, as long as it survives whatever you got planned for us, Ian. And then I'm going to continue to build it after this is over. I wheeled it this weekend. I had a blast in it. I really, really like the truck. And so this is one that I'm going to probably keep for a while, probably get 1 tons and some stuff eventually. But for now, I'm just going to enjoy it for what it is. It's a barely modified vehicle. It's just modified in the right ways. And I'm just kind of loving it. So that's my plans, at least for the summer, is just enjoy it the way it is.
Mine's
Here's-
basically
Gasket.
What's that, Dave?
I said he should probably do a head gasket.
Yeah, head gaskets. I mean, just, no one needs a head gasket, but it's just preventative maintenance.
Or what about a 4.7 swap, Nate? That could be fun.
That would be really cool. We'll see. We'll see if it needed a head gasket, then maybe a 4.7 would be a good idea. But
Here we go. Here's one question I like. I want to hear this. One thing that you would change with the build now that you're close to being done. Let's go backwards. We'll start with Nate this time. Nate, Dave, what's one thing that you would have changed with that truck, aside from maybe getting one that doesn't need a head gasket?
God, I feel so douchey saying this, but I'm pretty happy with where I chose to put the funds, and I wouldn't change much, to be honest with you. Like, I could have put 1 tons on it, but I like that it doesn't have 1 tons.
We're not talking about funds. I don't care about money. Just if money wasn't an issue, what's one thing you would have done different on your truck?
Oh, if I could build it again, but with no money,
No limit. Yep.
turbo for sure. Oh yeah, these engines love turbos. It's like a 2JZ. It's very similar, and manual swap, and then 1 tons if there's no budget issues.
There we go. Colt, Matt, no budget. What would you have done different?
No budget. It'd
Yeah,
have been
what would you have done? I mean, same
LS
truck, same
LS
basic premise.
Atlas links. Simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
LS Atlas links. Maybe some spoolie boys from China. I don't know.
Yep.
Some other-
Rudy, what about you?
Well, we've got 2 for turbos, but you can ask Hollie. But I've been talking about a supercharger for this thing. All day power.
I can speak from experience. You know what fits good underneath the hood of that truck, Rudy? Hemi. It'll slide right in like butter.
I actually have one sitting on a pallet that I could have used. It wouldn't have fit in the budget though, but still.
Yeah, Hemi would do it. Hollie, what about you? You haven't you since you're just chilling as a watcher now. What would you have done differently?
I'm chilling. I'm here for Rudy to team RAD Mischief, everyone. Poor man has been left to do everything alone. What would I have done? Definitely done something different with the engine for sure. Give it a little more. Give it what it deserves for sure.
How's it drive, Rudy? I saw your video where you drove it. Has your EFI all learned all of its shenanigans that it has to learn, all that stuff?
I had indexed the distributor off, so it was way advanced, but I backed it off, and that's when I drove it home. And I came up to a hill, and I was like, I'm gonna have to give it some extra gas to get up this. No, it pulled all the way up it, pulling 70, and I can let go of the steering wheel on the road. So
That's awesome.
no
Good stuff.
no vibrations, nothing.
Good stuff. Okay, guys. Well, I think that's all I've got. Unless you guys you want to do one last pitch for everybody to get out and vote for you. Like, give them your last sales pitch. Why do you need their votes so bad? Because you're going to lose a lot of them from your over budget.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I need your votes because the budget isn't entirely up to me anymore.
You just show them the truck. Show them how sexy this thing is.
Oh my gosh.
Should vote for this because it's this.
That thing does look pretty good, man.
All the awesome.
I do have a soft spot for that one. That's good. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So I think we're gonna wrap it up here unless you guys have anything else you want to add. I just want to remind everybody. So number one, if you haven't watched the Build Series Challenge, go over to onX YouTube, watch all of them. Make sure that you go to each one of these guys' YouTube pages. You can go to over on Rudy, RAD Adventure Design. You can go over to BleepinJeep, watch Colt and sometimes Matt working on that truck, mostly Colt though. And then Nate and Dave on their two channels, Dirthead Shed and Dirt Lifestyle. They were basically tag teaming that back and forth. And then if you want to go back and watch some of the old videos, there's Hollie kind of working on that thing on her channel over on Mischief Maker TV. So get over there, watch all those videos. We're going to keep monitoring the comments in YouTube. We might address some of them later when we come to the videos. We'll see all of you guys in a week for the kickoff of our actual trip. And remember to bring everything you need for your UA actual rule book to be followed. And get on over to onX Build Challenge and vote for these guys. They need your votes to see who's going to win for the ultimate spot on this year's Ultimate Adventure. Any idea? Oh, let's do one last thing. Now, Dave, you might know any guesses where Ultimate Adventure is going to be this year.
I know where it is.
Yeah, see, Dave, that's why I say you can't say. Any guesses? Give me a guess. Rudy, where do you think UA is this year?
I think it's wherever Colt thinks it's going to be.
I'm not 100%, but if I were to take a guess, just by the way UA works is they try to go a different place every year. And by the last places they've been, which was out this way, out east, down south, and then south central, it's got to be on the West Coast somewhere is my guess. Somewhere on the western side of the country is my guess.
Western US somewhere. Nate, what's your guess, or has Dave already shared with you?
No, I don't know.
Dave's good. Dave's good at keeping the secrets. I like that about Dave. He's good at that.
Yeah. And don't tell me I'm not good at keeping secrets. I would guess definitely West Coast. I don't know. I heard a couple of things. I was talking to Trent last year on the campfire. He's like, I haven't been up to Pacific Northwest in a while. So I don't know, maybe it'll be up here.
It's been a while since they've been up into the PNW. That's for sure. I mean, that has been a little bit.
We did Montana in 2020.
That's not
but
Pacific
I wouldn't
Northwest.
call that Northwest. That's central US.
Midwest.
That's Midwest.
Hey, Ian, you're supposed to give away some cups or something.
Oh, I'm not giving away the cups. I'm letting you got to go over to the go over into the chat, and there's a little sign up spot over there where you can sign up to win some cups. Thank you for reminding me of that, Dave. But that's where everyone's got to go over there. And there's a link in the chat to win some cups. So win some cups, everybody. All right. So that's all I've got, unless you guys have anything else. And we've covered all the information in here on these questions that are good. Let me just jump over here.
I got one.
Okay, go ahead. Give us your question, Dave, because I got one more spot to look for questions.
How much hardcore wheeling are we doing on our trip? You got to give us a little tidbit of information.
So much like all Ultimate Adventures, it's going to end with some good wheeling.
Good.
That's not giving you guys much. Come on now.
I want to drive home.
There'll be some wheeling happening.
Let me put it to you this way. If you need to leave a trailer in Montrose, I have a place for you to leave a trailer in Montrose.
I'm leaving my daily driver there too.
Becoming my daily driver, I guess.
Okay, let me rip through this one last thing here. I'm just gonna look at this one last little questions. Oh, here's one question I do want to get everyone. If you could choose a different vehicle to start over with, what would you choose? So let's start with Rudy. If you could choose a different vehicle, what would you have chosen?
Probably a 97 Ford OBS style, full size, even bigger.
Okay. Colt, what about you?
Actually, I was going to find like a late 80s, early 90s that already had the throttle body Dodge pickup, like Rudy's body style. But once I saw their very first video, when Hollie dropped their first video and didn't show anything but just little tidbits, I knew immediately that it was a Ram Charger, because that's what my wife and I used to have. And so I was like, well, I can't build the same thing. So that would have been my first choice, would have been a Dodge pickup.
Nate, what about you? What vehicle would you have chosen instead?
Jeep TJ.
Oh,
I love a Jeep TJ, and occasionally you will find someone who doesn't know that they're awesome and they're selling it for very little money. So I would either try to win one at auction or find one that had been rear-ended or something like that. I have a TJ and I know how great they are out of the box. So it's like a TJ and 35s and lockers. And I mean, Dave knows. It's a really good platform to start with, man.
it truly is. Hollie, what about you? What would you, oh, Hollie disappeared. Hollie, come back. What vehicle would you have chosen differently?
I'm gonna say something really kind of weird and crazy, but my first ever car that I always wanted was a RAV4. So I would just start there and see where I could take it. Because it's kind of weird, a little crazy,
I
but it
like
would
it.
be a long life dream.
Dave would have been down for that, 100%, right, Dave?
We
Yeah.
almost did a 2012 Camaro.
Next question. Here we go. Here's one more. I found more questions here. I got to ask. I'm sorry. If you could trade vehicles with one other competitor, who would you trade with? Hollie, you go first.
I'm gonna say the Bleepins. Sorry.
Oh, the S10. Nice.
Don't hate me.
Dave, what about you?
BleepinJeeps.
Mhm.
Okay. Nate.
Oh man, that's tough. I mean,
Come
I've already owned an S10, and I know that from a practical standpoint, probably the Ram Charger, because I know how crappy S10s are. I've owned many Chevys.
Have you ever heard they're equally crappy?
I know, and
Well,
I've
I don't
talked so much
recall-
trash
I
about
don't
how
recall this one
unreliable
needs a
S10
head gap.
Colt, Matt, who would you trade with?
I would,
Rudy.
yeah, I would definitely do Ram Charger. I had a K5 Blazer and I love that thing, so it'd be the Ram Charger.
All right. Rudy, who'd you trade with?
It would probably be the Bleepin crew, the S10, just because I was this close to wanting to do a truck anyway. So
Yeah.
Hey,
So last question. Here we go. Oh yeah, we should have talked about this. You will be camping on our trip next week. So what is your planned camping setup? So we'll start with let's start with Dave and Nate. What's your sleeping situation planned for?
You go ahead, Dave.
I'm bringing a tent cot, original style.
That's like old school UA right there. I love it. Light, easy, quick. To be honest, I kind of wanted to ask if I wanted to put a roof rack on this thing to make it easier for Dave and I to carry gear, would that count against my budget if I just bolted on a roof rack last minute? If it doesn't, then I'm gonna be camping differently than if it does.
I think unless it's an elite partner, I think it's going to count. If it's an elite
right.
partner, it wouldn't count. But if it's not an elite partner, it would definitely count against your budget. Yes.
Well, I slept in the truck last weekend. It was awesome, lots of room. But if there's a 39-inch spare in there that I have to pull out every day, maybe a tent. I got to figure that out. So probably ground tent.
Matt and Colt, what's your camping plan?
Colt and I have matching Camprite cot tents.
His tan and mine is green.
Excellent. Rudy, what's your camping plan?
Queen size air mattress in the back, and
Nice.
if that doesn't work out, a hammock slung under the rig.
Oh, yeah, I guess it's tall enough, right? And then the last question, I want each one of you guys to vote on this. Who's going to get the most body damage on this trip? We'll start with Rudy.
Yeah.
Me?
I think it's you. Who thinks it's going to be Rudy? Yeah, I think me. All right, guys. So once again, thank you so much for joining us for this live webinar here. Thanks for asking your questions. Head on over to the chat if you want the chance to win the giveaway. The link is over there. Last thing, as I said before, head on over to the onX Offroad Build Challenge website and vote for your favorite team. And we'll probably do some sort of live update from the road trip. But until then, I'll see you guys next week. Everyone watching this isn't going to see you for about a month. And then we're going to see what happens when we throw down with these vehicles on the trail.